Well, good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click your live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I'm Celeste Giordano, your show host for the next hour with Global Legacy and Wealth Building. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. We're also on some new platforms of the Apple and the Apple TV. Again, the WCEG Network TV. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guests and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. And Happy New Year to our audience and listeners. And thank you, Penny Rogers and WCEG Network, for this opportunity and this platform to speak life into the community with amazing guests like the guests I have here today. And I also want to say a happy early birthday to our founder, Penny Rogers. Her be celebrating her birthday tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she doesn't look that old at all. She's a young lady, and I'm very honored and privileged to call her my friend and colleague. So happy early birthday, Penny. Enjoy your day. God made only one Penny Rogers, and he made you very special. So have a wonderful and blessed birthday. So today I have Clare Schmur with us from Cincinnati, Ohio. And Clare, welcome to WCEG Network. How are you today?
Thank you, Celeste. I'm doing well. It's an honor to be here. This is very exciting to be able to share with you today.
Absolutely. And Happy New Year. And has the new year started off wonderful for you, I hope?
It has, other than the 14 inches of snow at my house. And I think I'm the only driveway that has not been shoveled because I have all-wheel drive. Why am I going to break my back when I can just drive over it?
Well, I was up there with you guys the first of the year, and that weather, I mean, some days I'd wake up, it was 0 degrees and the wind chill was like -14 or -16. I have never experienced such cold weather, but it was still wonderful to be up there. But I was glad to come back a little bit south and enjoy the warmer weather a little bit.
Sure, I bet.
Yeah. So anyways, well, I have known you, Clare. I'm trying to figure if I met you last year or the year before that. But I know I met you at a networking event at Beautiful Faces Going Places, which we're going to have Carol Dockham on the show later this year. Just an amazing lady doing great things in the Cincinnati area. And if you're in that area and you're looking for a great networking group, Beautiful Faces Going Places is amazing. And also very honored and privileged that the Carol Dockham and Beautiful Faces Going Places and their amazing members have supported Women of Community Impact. This is going to be our 4th year in May, where it's National Foster Children Month, where they will be supporting us with backpacks for foster children in the area. And the members of that group just did an astounding job over the years, especially last year, in stuffing our backpacks for us to give to New Path. So we are excited to embark on that this year. And you're just one of the amazing ladies that is part of Beautiful Faces Going Places. And I really, even though we haven't done a lot of things together or networked a lot of personal time together, Clare, we have been together, and I've been admiring you from a distance of how well you handle yourself in networking and what you present to the people and what you share to help people and serve people in the community about their health. And I knew last year that I wanted to have you on the show this year. So I am honored and privileged to have you today and to share with our community about optimizing our health here. So we are just excited to have you.
Thank you, Celeste. I'm humbled and honored to have an equal opinion towards you as well. You were one of the people that I when I first met, I knew I wanted to get to know you more. So thank you for sticking with me.
Absolutely. So for our audience listeners, what I'd like to do is read your bio before we jump into our interview here today. And then I would love for you to share with our audience and listeners, how people can get a hold of you. I know that we have one of our board members, Penny, monitoring our platform here today. And if you have any questions, audience and listeners, please put them in the chat right there so we can have the opportunity to answer those questions for you, because this is a new year, it's a new you. And, to me, as a business mentor with CelesteGiordano.com, one of the biggest things that I like to do every year in January is I like to bring a CPA, bookkeeper, accountant out, because that's one of the first things I want people to make sure that they have started the year off right. And then the next thing is our health, because usually people are concerned about, their spiritual life, their family life. They're concerned about their health, and they're setting goals and resolutions. And I'm not going to get into all that, and they fall off the bandwagon. But February is coming up here, and I wanted to make sure that we covered our health. And Claire, I couldn't think of anybody more qualified than you to talk about health and how we can have a better 2025 focusing on our health. So Clare Schmur is a doctor of pharmacy, as well as president and founder of A Better Life RX, LLC. As a certified health coach, I help people focus on their whys of where they wish to be with their health. Together, I assist them to overcome their mental blocks or other barriers to achieve optimal health and develop healthy habits which are sustainable for long term. Being a doctor of pharmacy, I come from a wide variety of pharmaceutical backgrounds: retail, mail order, long-term care, director of clinical services, hospital, clinical pharmacist, plus owning my own business at a diabetes specialist. Most recently, I've been a medical science liaison for two large pharma companies, working with practitioners and supporting the care of patients with diabetes and then with lupus. Recently, and happily retired from pharmacy, I am blessed to now be able to focus on my passion of supporting people on an individual basis. Healthy habits lead to lifelong optimal health. I have two grown children and two granddaughters who I'm crazy about. I've been blessed to find the love of my life 6 years ago. With him, we look forward to traveling more easily abroad. Please help me welcome my friend and colleague, Clare Schmur. Welcome, Clare. What an amazing bio right there. And tell me and tell our audience a little bit about your pharmacy career and what you learned from your different roles.
It's been a long 30 years. So I like to say I'm happily retired, but not retired, but rather repurposed. So as many pharmacists who graduate, I started in retail pharmacy, so spent 15 years as a retail pharmacist. And from there, I learned how much I like to help people optimize their pharmacy care. Their, being able to say, if you take this on an empty stomach or a full stomach, please don't take this medication over the counter if you have high blood pressure. Being able to optimize their care. And people kind of followed me. They would ask to see, ask if I was working that day. So I enjoyed having that. And if you know of retail pharmacists, please give them kudos and thank them for their service, because it has gotten quite strenuous, to say the least, where they're dealing with payer sources, they're dealing with formulary requirements. They've got to stop doing what they're doing and administer vaccines now, which I didn't have the opportunity to do, thank goodness. But they are under a lot of pressure, so do thank them when you see them. From there, I spent 3 short months in mail order pharmacy, and that's all the time it took for me to determine that checking 300 prescriptions a day was not going to get me out of bed with a purpose. And so I quickly moved then to long-term care. So dispensing first with nursing homes, other care homes, dispensing medications to them. Also working on IVs and TPNs, which are total parental nutrition. So some people can't eat food and they have to have everything by IV. So constructing those TPNs, to have the right lipid sources and the protein sources and things like that. So that was really kind of, right up my pharmacy career with that. After compounding, then I went to consulting. So this is where I learned more of the holistic approach to patient care, where I could go into a nursing home and look at the entire chart and the entire medical history for somebody, and then make recommendations to the doctor that maybe for an alternate therapy that was less expensive, or recommending, long acting medication instead of somebody taking it 4 times a day. Um, looking at the chart and saying, their blood pressure is actually starting to get a little bit too low. Could we deprescribe, one of my favorite things to do, and take one of these 3 blood pressure medications off of this person and see how well they do and monitor that person. So that was the start of a holistic approach to pharmacy. After that, I became, same company, I became a director of clinical services. This is where we could develop systems and develop recommendations to encompass all the nursing homes we were covering. And I enjoyed doing that, but I definitely missed patient care with that because I really didn't see go into nursing homes. I was more up here and doing the branch thing. So after long-term care, during long-term care, I became certified in advanced diabetes management. So I developed my own company. This is where I had diabetes partners. And I had a collaborative care agreement with 20 physicians around the Cincinnati area. So a collaborative care agreement is when there was an agreement between the patient, the doctor, and myself that I could prescribe, I could adjust doses, I could order labs. And it was wonderful. The doctors would send me the chart and just say diabetes management, and they knew I would meet with the patient and sit and coach them on better habits and things like that. And they would come up to me because oftentimes my first visit with these patients were 2 hours long. And they came up to me and said, "I can't believe you're talking to somebody for 2 hours." And I said, "I'm not. I'm listening for 2 hours." And this is where I developed their roadblocks to better care, what was motivating them to better care. And I sometimes would say, "Did you know this about Jane Doe?" Because I had no clue. And he said, "That's why she's not very compliant with the medication that you've prescribed. But now that she knows why it works and why it's important for it to work, I think you'll find that she'll be a little bit more compliant with what you would like her to do." After that, I was a medical science liaison for 2 different pharmacy companies. So pharmacy companies usually have 2 teams. One is a commercial team, and they go in and obviously try to promote the medication. And they are limited to only the information that's in the package insert. The scientific or medical team goes beyond that. So if there's a new trial that comes out, I could present the trial to the doctor and, discuss what the doctor felt about the outcomes. If there was a question by a doctor that was not in the package insert, which is off label, then commercial would send me a request to meet with the doctor and have a discussion with the doctor. So I enjoyed doing that again. I miss patient care with that too. So from there, in 2023, I did retire, or rather repurpose. So became a holistic health coach with what I'm doing now. So absolutely love it because I'm back to patient or client care.
Absolutely. What a wonderful story to share right there, Claire. And, a couple of things I want to comment on that. Living in the Atlanta area like I have for many, many years, for the last 25 years, I had the same pharmacy and same pharmacist. And he retired about 5 years ago. And it just broke my heart because he was one that personal interests. He knew me well. He knew our family's prescriptions. And it was just, any questions. In other words, he didn't rely on a tech person to give me the medicine because he knew who we were. We've been long-term standing clients, that he always came and said, "Hello, Ms. Giordano, how are you? Yada, yada. Here's your medication. You have any questions?" And he was just a phenomenal individual. Today, you go to the pharmacy and you've got all these young kids, and I think that's great that they're being interns and being taught and things of this nature. But I can't tell you how many times that you need to check your medication before you leave the place, where we had not been given the proper medication and things of this nature. And the same place, just different types of service. And it's very hard to even speak to the pharmacists because they're overworked and just constantly so busy.
Yeah.
You don't even have a chance to have a relationship with them. You have to deal with the tech or the intern that's working there. And sometimes when you know that's not right. And or they'd say, "Well, this is how much your prescription is." I said, "No, that's not how much it is. It's supposed to be this." "Well, that's what it is." "No, well, you're wrong." And then I say, "Give me the pharmacist," and he would come in there and he would say, "No, that's wrong," and he would go in there and he'd make it right. So anyways, it's so very important to have that relationship, and everybody, that's been watching our global legacy and wealth building know how important it is on building relationships. And whether it's building relationships personally, professionally, I talk about, your CPA, your financial advisor. Here we have a repurposed pharmacist. I guess that's what you want me to call you, repurpose, or you need to have that relationship with them, because look how important that story that Claire shared with us today of, the relationship she had with so many different levels of positions that she did in the pharmacy area. And my mother transitioned and went to be with the Lord in October. And a lot of times at the hospitals, they had people just like you, I forget what the title is, that came in about that and how important that role is, Claire, because sometimes doctors and these people are just in there and they're not listening, they're just prescribing. And I can't tell you, since my mother has passed, and speaking with so many different nurses and practitioners and things of this nature after her passing, that we have a relationship with these people and they still call me today. It's been 90 days, and we still have a relationship that we talk about, and they truly cared about my mom and her well-being. And they said, "Your mother was a very smart person. I mean, she did her research, she did her homework, and all you had to do is listen to her, because everybody's body is different and everybody's body reacts differently to different medications. And it's not one medication is going to be a cookie cutter for everybody." And I love what you said, that you went in there and you spent 2 hours and come to find out you removed some things. And blood pressure was one of the things with my mother. There were certain blood pressure things she couldn't take. And if they'd taken the time, maybe they would have been different. Who knows? So thank you for sharing all that information, because it was very, very powerful.
My pleasure.
So how did health coaching become a passion?
I think I know exactly when this happened. So I coach under an umbrella company called Optavia. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but I like to think of it as an optimal vehicle for better health. So I learned of it through friends of ours. They invited us over for dinner. And he said, "My wife is on this diet and she's eating one larger meal and several small meals throughout the day. And so we're only going to have pork loin and vegetables, no starch." I'm going, "Fine, I love to eat that way." And so when we got over there, I talked to her and said, "Tell me more about what you're doing," because I probably used every diet plan out there, and they all work in the beginning, but they're not sustainable. So just tell me more about it. So she's telling me about, she's eating 5 small meals a day and then one larger protein and vegetable meal. And so she said, "If you want to find more about it, here's my coach's name." So I go home and being the diligent pharmacist that I am, obviously I do my research. So I'm researching this company and their outcomes. And I'm going, I love to eat smaller, more frequent meals a day. And I love to eat protein and vegetables together with no starch. I think I'll try this because it's just gonna, I just have to quell my curiosity and rack this up as one more plan that doesn't work for the long run. So I order my kit, it comes. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so easy. I'm driving back and forth from Cincinnati to Cleveland a couple times a month. I can just throw the stuff in the suitcase, throw the stuff in the car. I'm good to go. I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat until I get to the hotel, and I could just go down and have, a salad with some protein on it, et cetera. So I do that, and I come back home, and my coach mentor calls and says, what are you learning in your life book? And I said, what book? And he goes, your life book. Didn't you get two large books with your order? I said, no, I didn't order that stuff. So he sighs at me and he said, are you going to reorder? I said, yeah, I'm losing weight. And he said, would you please order the support material? I said, okay. So I order the support material. He calls me again. He goes, where are you in your life book? And I said, oh my gosh, our company's getting ready to do a new indication for their drug. I am reading clinical trials left and right. I don't have time to read anything else. So he sighs at me again and he said, could you commit to 5 pages a day? And I'm thinking, by golly, this must really be important. Okay, I will commit to 5 pages a day. So I put that book on my kitchen counter and I ate my food at the kitchen counter instead of going up to my desk where I didn't even remember eating it. And I started reading and I kept reading and I kept reading and I kept reading. And after the 4th chapter, learning about the founder, Dr. A, Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson. So Dr. A used to be an interventionist in the ICU. And he got so tired of treating heart attacks, he left and made it his mission to prevent them. And learning about this and something as simple as stop, challenge, and choose that you can apply to so many different areas of your life. I'm calling my coach mentor up and saying, I will never yo-yo diet again. How do I become a coach with this? Because I want to spread this word. And it reminded me of a quote. I've been reading a book called Outlive by Peter Attia. And one of the opening quotes was something I heard before from Archbishop Desmond Tutu that says, there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. So this, I got goosebumps thinking about that. This has just been my passion ever since then of, sorry about that, of helping people get to their whys, and figure out, where they want to be and why.
Well, Claire, and I've been following you for a couple of years, and I just love some of the stories that you share of your testimonials of the people. And I've had another lady, maybe 2-3 years ago on the radio show, that also did the same thing that you do with this optimal coaching. And it's amazing to see the results. And one thing that I give kudos to both of you is that you lead by example. And, a lot of times you see people who are health coaches or in the health industry and things of this nature. And I hope, and I may get in trouble for this, what I'm going to say. But
No,
it wouldn't be the first time. So
have at it.
I'll put my suit of armor on real quick. Is that how do you call yourself a health coach? And then when you look at these people, they don't look healthy. I think I saved myself there. They don't look healthy, and they're not leading by example, but yet you want people to follow in those footsteps. And so I think it's very important, especially in the health industry, that you do lead by example, and that you do have proven strategies and structure that really gets results, not only for your clients, but you also walk the talk yourself.
Exactly.
So you say you don't coach a diet. Tell us more, please.
So diets generally fail because it doesn't change your mindset. So that I like to think of this at the first three letters of diet is die, D-I-E, whereas the first four letters of health is heal. So if we can get away from the processed foods and the artificial ingredients and eat healthy, eat what nature intended us to eat. Somebody told me if it grows on the land and roams the land, it's okay to eat. If it's not coming out of a factory, then it's much better with that. So I coach healthy habits. So with that, obviously nutrition is one of those healthy habits, but we also talk about nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep, surroundings, and most importantly, mindset. Because if we don't think about the inches, meaning the 6 inches between our ears, nothing changes. And so we work on it all.
Absolutely. And for our audience and listeners, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'd love to answer your questions right there at WCEG Talk Network. And Claire, also tell people how they can get a hold of you. I know that you're offering a complimentary call, and I want to do this a couple of times. So how can people get a hold of you and get a confidential health assessment?
Sure, sure. So you can text me, preferably text me at 513-368-9012. You can email me at clarerx@live.com. So that's CLARERX at live.com, live.com. And I'm willing to do a confidential health assessment with you, and that's free. If you want to access the form on that, it's https://form.jotform.com/ClareRx/Schmur, SCHMURR. Or you can text me and I can send you the link as well.
Absolutely, and I have taken this health assessment before. It's amazing. It's great, and I highly encourage our audience and listeners, if you're serious about putting health at the top of your priorities and your goals for 2025, take advantage of this opportunity to get a confidential health assessment with Clare Schmur. Now, what are those healthy habits that you were talking about just a minute ago? I don't think we went through all of them.
Well, for instance, sleep habits. This is something that I've struggled with for years. I've been a night owl for way too long, staying up to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then obviously I would sleep until way too late in the morning. The brain takes an hour to settle down and rest after you stop screens, whether it's your phone, your TV, that type of thing. So think about this. People who go to bed with the TV on, their brain never rests. Their brain is just never getting to that resting zone. So I recommend people screens off an hour before you want to go to bed. Develop that good sleep hygiene of relaxing, washing your face, brushing your teeth, maybe doing some reading on a book and not on your phone, because the screen is stimulating, and just developing good sleep hygiene with that. So that's been working for me. I'm really happy to be getting up earlier in the morning. I never thought I would do that.
Absolutely. And, sleep is something that I have always struggled with. My brain like never shuts down. Have been a franchise owner for 36 years, being in a consulting and coaching industry, going on 12 years now. You've got clients, you've got family, you got so many different things. And I could never be the one that could go lay down and just put my head on the pillow and go to sleep. Now, my husband, he can put his head on the pillow, and I mean, in 30 seconds, he's snoring. And it's just like, how do you do that? You're faking your snore. And I was shoving, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm asleep. It's like, who goes to sleep in 30 seconds? But he literally can be snoring in 30 seconds. And getting up at early morning. Mike and I are part of the 5 a.m. club. I mean, we are up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. every single morning. And it's amazing what you can get done getting up that early. But people like me that have a hard time going to sleep and shutting that brain down, you know, you have any comments that you want to say about melatoma? A lot of people, you said, I never heard of melatoma till just maybe the last several years. Any comments that you want to share on melatoma?
I take melatonin every night, and I take it an hour before I want to go to bed, so that I've noticed that it's it kind of calms me down where if I take it, and then I want to turn my screens off. And so it's a twofold thing. So I start to relax. And that's the point. It starts to relax me so that I'm able to go to bed and just not be thinking about a gazillion things.
So, and that's good. I take some melatonin myself every single night. And, but again, a lot of people I think are attracted to iPads and phones, and they're constantly on that, till late at night, and then they want to go to bed, and they can't shut that down. And I've had people, say, well, I can't take melatonin. It doesn't do anything for me. Well, there's got to be a reason that melatonin is not working for you, because again, right here.
You gotta shut the brain off.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that. So, I'm sure we have plenty of people listening who have a tough time drinking enough water. What tip would you give us? Because I'm going to be one of those people that my husband drinks, I don't know how many things of water a day, and I have a hard time drinking plain water. Although for the show, I poured me some water.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, before you say anything, I will tell you what I like: ice cold water, whether or not that's good for you or not. And I bought one of these thermoses, or whatever you want to call them, and I love to put fill it with ice, and then I love to put filtered water in it, and I will drink this all day long and fill it up, and I take it to bed and put it on my nightstand. But if I can't put it in this, I won't drink it.
Gotcha. That's interesting. And I have a lot of clients that go through the same thing. And I don't expect somebody to go from 16 ounces of water to 64 ounces of water overnight. That's a really huge swift. So we gradually get that increase. So it's recommended 8-ounce glasses of water a day, or 64 ounces. And you can do that. So, when I'm at my desk, I'll set a timer. And when the timer goes off, I pick up my water glass and at least go downstairs and fill it back up. If I haven't drank half the glass, I'll drink half a glass. I'll go down, fill it back up, come back upstairs. Instead of taking a sip, take 3 big gulps, and that'll get more water into you all the time, throughout the day. Try to drink a glass of water with each meal is helpful too. Start your day off by drinking a glass of water, because I heard this, that your body will crave what you first drink or eat in the morning. So let it be water. If you need to use infusers, but again, watch your artificial ingredients. I hear a couple of people that are just addicted to Diet Coke or Diet whatever. I recommend, so put half in your glass and fill the rest of the glass up with water, or start with 3/4 and 1/4 water, and gradually every couple of days. Decrease your pop and increase your water so that you're getting a watered down version. And generally, eventually, you'll be drinking water. And so that's a good way of doing that. Just to be conscious, be a conscious water drinker, and realize if you don't think you've had enough water, go have a glass of water. People say, oh, I'm hungry. Are you really hungry, or are you really thirsty? Go have a glass of ice water. You said you like ice water. Have a glass of ice water, and then 10 or 15 minutes later, see if you're really still hungry.
Well, also, from what I've read, that the first thing in the morning, that's why I keep it by the bed. First thing in the morning, you should take a big drink of water because it gets things going or whatever. And so that's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning, is I'm going to take a big guzzle of my water. And the other thing about water, I lost my train of thought on this real quick, was I only have one kidney. And so I monitor my kidney every 90 days that I do have. And I can always tell, is it the EGFs or FGRs or whatever, as you get older, it's supposed to be like in the high 70s or 80s. And when you get young, when you're young and as you get older, that decreases. And during the pandemic, I was having my blood checked, and for my kidney, it had gotten into the 40s, which was on a borderline of kidney failure.
Right.
And I was drinking a lot of water, at least I thought I was. But anyways, long story short, I've got it back up into the high 50s now. But I swear it's because I drink more water that it helps with that. I don't know if it's the water or if it's, we eat healthy. Mike and I, we're not one to buy things and pop it in a toaster or, frozen. Everything that we do is fresh vegetables, fresh, food and stuff like that. And the only starches that we should cut out is our homemade bread and pizza, but that will never happen. And, but other than that, we're pretty much healthy eaters of just meat and raw vegetables and, things of that nature.
Yep. You said the magic word, homemade.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So you mentioned mindset as a healthy habit. Tell us more about the mindset, because I'm a firm believer in that.
So by mindset, one of the first things we ask clients is, what is your why? Why do you want, what do you want, and why do you want it? And if that's a strong why, print it out, cut it out, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it on your refrigerator, so that you see it throughout the day. And most people that I work with want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want my clothes to fit better. What would that mean if your clothes fit better? So I keep diving into their whys, and sometimes, some magical unearthing thing, some people will they'll realize something that in their past history that they didn't realize, and why this is important to them. I hear a lot of, I want to be able to get down on the ground and play with my grandchildren and get back up again. And having a second granddaughter now, I want to do that. I want to be able to get back up. So far so good. so that's, a mindset. And what we try to do is get people to be the conscious leaders of their own life. And our founder, Dr. A, has a monthly call of being a conscious leader of your own life, and being in the empowerment triangle, what we call the empowerment triangle, instead of being in the drama triangle. So many people will say, this is happening to me, this is happening against me. And this is all part of the drama triangle. Whereas if you start to say, I can overcome this, I can succeed, this is not going to get me down, then those people are in the empowerment triangle. And that's what we are coaching people to become to do.
Well, when you talk about the why, and we're talking about the mindset, Claire, the other thing is, in a couple of months, I'm going to turn 69. And I was very athletic.
Right there with you.
I grew up being very athletic, played sports, and still play sports. I mean, I live in a neighborhood in a cul-de-sac, and our neighbors have basketball goal out there, and all the little kids come knock on the door. Miss Celeste, let's go play some basketballs. Let's shoot some hoops. And I said, okay. And then they say, but don't forget our ice cream. So anyways, but and all the neighbors out there say, Celeste, I just can't believe you get out there and you play basketball with these kids. And then the neighbors, they also got the pickleball net now that we put out there, and we're playing pickleball out there. But the thing of it is that as we get older, I've heard it time and time again, I've gained some weight since I've been married to Mike. I've gained quite a bit of weight. but I still think I feel good, but I could lose some weight. But my point being is the longer we wait to get fit and take a conscious effort to put our health first, the harder it's going to be. And you go be a caregiver like I was for my mother last year, and you're in and out of hospitals and nursing homes and you see everything. I don't want to go there. I don't
Right.
want to be there, you know. And so, my husband's been walking 3-4 miles a day now for probably 8-10 years. I mean, he's a phenomenal. He's dedicated. I'm not dedicated. I mean, I go with him and do some of it, but not as much as he does. And but again, any kind of exercise is better than no exercise. Lifting some weights, you're sitting at a desk doing something, pick up some weights and lift some weights and do stuff. But the big thing is healthy eating. And I'm just, I'm a conscious person that Mike and I about what we eat. Now we could probably, I tell Mike, you need smaller portions. And because he does do some bigger portions. And I said, it's portion control. But so many people do not think about what they're eating. And I mean, if they journaled every day what they ate, it would astound you.
Oh,
If,
absolutely.
if you took
And
a journal and did that. And you think about back in the 60s and 70s, how thin our parents and our friends were. And then you look at today and and I'm sure you could tell, that's another interview, that you could tell what's all in our food and what they're eating. But and the pesticides, and we could go on and on and on, organic versus non-organic. But healthy eating is king. You've got to be very passionate about watching what you eat, how you eat, when you eat. And a lot of that is like what you're doing in coaching these people, is talking to them about those strategies about that food. Is that correct?
that's very correct, Celeste. So think about even the American Diabetes Association a number of years ago, their guidance was the food pyramid. Do you remember the food pyramid? So the fats were at the top, this tiny little pyramid,
Yeah.
and starches were at the bottom. So they were recommending a lot of starches. And they finally said, these are people with diabetes. We want to keep their blood sugars low. So that they threw that out. And now it's the healthy plate. And this is something we coach on now. Think of a plate, and rather than a dinner plate, get a smaller plate, like a 9-inch salad plate. Divide it in fourths. Half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables. A fourth should be your protein, lean meat, fish, chicken, and a fourth should be your starch or your starchy vegetables, and preferably higher grain, a more complex carbohydrates, like your sweet potatoes instead of white potatoes, your whole grain pasta instead of white pasta, wheat bread instead of white bread. What's another example? I think sweet potatoes. So your corn and peas are a starchy vegetable. Those are your starch, not your vegetables. So um, that's what we coach on. And think about anybody who is overweight. That overweight area is insulin resistance. So all of our population is walk around with insulin resistance. How can we decrease that insulin resistance? Well, if we're eating small, frequent meals, your blood sugar's going like this instead of like this.
Up and down like a roller coaster.
If your blood sugar's going like this, then your insulin level only needs to be secreted this much. You're restoring insulin sensitivity instead of making insulin resistance by spiking that insulin up. And in doing that, your body starts going to fat stores and using your fat stores for energy instead of the glycogen and things that are being stored in your muscles and your liver.
Absolutely. And I remember a couple of years ago, Mike and I monitor our blood work, and he's got all these charts that he has, and of him and me, and this is what your blood work was here and there, and compares it. And there was probably during COVID, we eat healthy, we do all this, and our blood work just came just wacko. And then come to find out, a lot of things we thought that we were eating healthy were really not healthy. Like you say, like, wheat pasta or this, like for kidney, believe it or not, I think brown rice is better than white rice for you, for somebody with kidney issues or something. And we were eating a lot of jasmine rice, white, and so now we're eating a lot of, brown rice. So, and then there was a lot of things like another thing that I forget what it was, is with the V8 juice, thinking, oh, I've got all these things. Well, the potassium went way sky high with potassium. So, we don't know what we don't know, ladies and gentlemen, and you really need to educate yourself. You need to read, you need to study about that stuff. And I highly encourage you to have a conversation with Claire. I mean, we're not talking somebody that just opened up a textbook and read a few things. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's a repurposed pharmacist. I mean, she knows the ins and outs of everything in the medical industry. Doctors relied on her. What a great opportunity, if you're serious about getting your life in line with your health, then to get in touch with Claire Schmur right here, because I would want her in my back pocket versus anybody else, especially a pharmacist that knows the chemicals and the things that go into your body and what's best. And remember, she listens, because God gives us 2 ears and 1 mouth to talk with. So I love that, Claire. I know we've got about, I don't know, 13 minutes left. Nutrition, that's a primary focus, right? I want to get to this topic right here, because we see so many people doing this. And I have a few things to say about it, but I'm going to let you talk first. There's a lot of people using the GLP-1 injections for weight loss now. What are your thoughts around this?
Well, when I had my diabetes specialist practice, I prescribed more GLP-1s than any of the other 20 physicians put together, because I knew the mechanism of action and I knew how they worked, and I knew that they would get people's blood sugars down, and I knew I could probably get this person on 10 units of insulin off that insulin, and I knew that they would lose weight. And I was very cautious about who I prescribed this to, but I knew they would lose weight and they would get happy about that and want to do more. And they would want to, you know, do more about reeling in their excess carbohydrates and things like that. They're not bullets. They're not magic bullets. I've seen so many people get prescribed these medications and just, here you go. And I'd ask them, I said, the package insert says, in addition to reduce calories and increase activity, what is your doctor doing about these 2 elements? And I hear crickets back.
Zero.
And zero. And this is so frustrating, because if you don't change those 2 elements, when people stop using the drugs, they're going to gain the weight right back again. And when you lose weight, you lose muscle and fat. When you gain the weight back, you're going to gain fat back. And this is very unhealthy for anybody to have that happen. They're great drugs. It's wonderful when used correctly.
Absolutely. And that's my comment about that. My father had diabetes and my brother has diabetes, and they put him on that maybe 6 months ago. And he is losing weight, and he is watching what he eats and things of this nature, and his ALCs or whatever it is, is better, but he doesn't exercise. And I tell him that, you have to exercise to go with that. And I think I saw a post one day this week that somebody, it's a colleague of mine, and I really admire this colleague who's lost over 100 and something pounds. But, she's not just taking that, she is putting, like you say, the meal plan in place and the vigorous exercise and she's doing it under several different people who are monitoring her to make sure that she's staying healthy and safe and doing all the right things, that it's not a one-time thing, like you say, and then you're going to gain all this back and then it's going to be solid fat when it comes back. And so, one of the questions our audience asks is, what are the long-term effects on the weight loss injections? And that's replacing of dieting and exercise.
And that's, I kind of just mentioned that, and you mentioned about vigorous exercise, and it doesn't have to be vigorous exercise. I'd like to say movement more, like I said, I set a timer for 30 minutes at my desk, and at least every 30 minutes, I'm picking up my water glass, going downstairs, getting more water, and coming back upstairs. So I'm moving every 30 minutes. I would tell people I coached, sitting is the new smoking because it's terrible on the cardiovasculature to sit that long. That's why they recommend when you're on long flights to get up and walk up and down the aisle so that you're moving. The GLP-1s, they're phenomenal if they're being used correctly and if they're being incorporated with nutrition and activity. And so certain people, they just came out with a study that there was no appreciable difference in thyroid function with them. They really do not increase pancreatitis. So um, they're they're really excellent drugs. And most people, a lot of people who are insulin resistant are also GLP-1 resistant, or they have their GLP-1 is not being excreted in a efficient manner. So that's where these drugs come into place so beautifully with so many people. I hope that
So
answers the question.
let me ask you something, Claire. So a lot of these doctors that are prescribing the GLP-1s, do most of them also have a separate thing where they're monitoring you, or are they just prescribing that and there's no monitoring of the food and the exercise or anything like that? What I know that it's a case by case or individual. So is there, if there is only a doctor that's prescribing that but doesn't offer the second part of the food and the exercise and the mentoring or consulting that area, you know, where do we go to find that?
So and it depends on the physician. I know there's a healthcare organization in Cincinnati that they will allow employees to get these drugs and they'll pay for them if they are also enrolled in a comprehensive weight loss program, which includes nutrition and activity and all kinds of lab work with that as well. So I like to see that because doctors get 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes with a patient. They don't have time to coach people on that. And our company is very cognizant of that. So we have developed a partnership or a collaboration, I should say, with a company called LifeMD. And this LifeMD is a telehealth company. So I'm asking, I say, Celeste, you might be a good option for these medications. I'd like you to check out this link to LifeMD. They'll evaluate your situation. They'll look at your insurance. If your insurance covers it, they'll figure out which drug is appropriate under your insurance. If it's not, then they can prescribe a compounded version of a GLP-1, and they have vetted pharmacies. That's another issue with that. They have vetted pharmacies that they'll send those prescriptions to so that you get a qualified compounded version of that. And then there's ongoing assessment. So it's been a really good resource for people that are thinking about it but don't know where to go, or their doctor says, nah, I'm not going to deal with it.
Well, and I want to say this for all the audience listeners out there today that, you know, if you know somebody that's doing the GLP-1 thing, you know, don't accuse them of cheating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was the word that I think that this person had said that she'd been accused of. You know, no, she's not cheating. And I admire this person and the great job that she's doing and taking responsibility for her health, her body, her family, and to live longer, be a better person. And she's doing it with a team, and it goes like with anything. It takes a village, it takes a team to accomplish your goals, whether it's a health goal, it's a financial goal, you know, marriage goal, any of those things. It takes a team of people to do it. You know, two hands make more noise than one. And so we only have about 5 more minutes, and I'll get back. I had a question where you said something about thyroid, but I'm going to ask that to you privately about that. So what makes you different than other programs, Claire? Why do we want to come to you as opposed to anybody else?
Great question, because I'm the best.
You are. You
I'm
are the best. I want you in my corner. You're a repurposed pharmacist. That's who I want in my corner.
So the company that I consult for has been around for 30 years. We've positively affected over 3 million people with their health. And for four main reasons. One is that everybody gets a coach, and that's what I love doing. I work side by side with you. I'm your accountability partner. We have a community of people. So it's not just you and me. We have a community of people. We have a private Facebook group that you can log on and ask questions or cheer people on. We've got the habits of health, and that's why this makes it a healthy choice and not a diet. And then we have food that people can order if they desire, and they can order, kits. They're small meals. They're perfectly balanced with macronutrients of your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. Have some vitamins, minerals, things like that. So it's a complete nutritional package. So we've got those four elements, but we work to empower people to be that dominant force in their lives. And I think that's really what called me to this as well.
Absolutely. So this sounds like a lot of work. I hope you get paid for these wonderful skills.
I do. So Optavia they incorporate my commission in with the cost of the food. Most people do order the food, especially in the beginning. I highly encourage that because we know exactly what you're putting in your mouth. There's no guesswork involved. So that's what pulled me to it because I only had to think of one meal a day. I can plan one meal a day and make it a really, wonderful meal. I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend my life in the kitchen. I don't have time to spend my life in the kitchen. I love Weight Watchers, but I felt like I was in the kitchen all day long, preparing a meal, cleaning it up, preparing the next meal. I'm not that kind of person. So it makes it easy for people to follow. So they incorporate the commissions in with the price of fueling. Do I have clients that don't buy? Yes, I still coach them because it's the right thing to do. And I know I can be a resource for them.
Absolutely. And so what if I want to be coached as well? Again, tell our audience how we get with you, the health assessment, your phone number. Probably that's the best way to text you.
Yep, text me at 513-368-9012. You can email me at clarerx@live.com. That's CLARERX @live.com. Either way, or you can click the link if you see it. It's https://form.jotform.com/ClareRx/Schmur SCHMURR.
Absolutely. And again, for our audience and listeners, if you're, let's say you're in the 50s, 60s, and we have less years ahead of us than we have behind us right here. And it's really important. Make this year, 2025, the year that you do something to better your health, not just for yourself, but for your family, your loved ones. We're living longer now, but the people that are living longer are the people that are taking a personal interest in doing the right things, being coached and being mentored, being educated, being informed to live longer by eating the right things. And you know what? We wouldn't want to lose weight or do anything if our way worked, because our way got us to this point. So the thing of it is to recognize that to go forward, we've got to do something different than what we're doing. And to think that you could do it on your own, you're only fooling yourself. It takes a mentor, it takes a coach, it takes somebody to walk side by side with you to help you lose that weight and get healthy, not only for you and your family. And with that being said, Clare, thank you so much for joining us here today. You are a wealth of information. I hope our audience and listeners will get a hold of you for that complimentary health assessment. It will be in the chats and our forums of whether it be YouTube, Facebook, whatever, wherever we have it, Apple TV, Roku TV. You can watch this show over, and it has been a pleasure, Claire, having you as our guest here today. And thank you for a wealth of information. And we look forward to getting in touch with you and doing that health assessment.
It's been a pleasure, Celeste. Thank you again for inviting me to share.
Absolutely. And thank you, WCEG Network, for this platform where we get to speak life into the community and educate the community with wonderful people like Claire and many others that we've had. And again, I want to say a happy early birthday to our founder, Penny Rogers. You're going to have a great day tomorrow, Penny. I hope you got a big smile on your face and you celebrate yourself big tomorrow. Love you. Love you, Claire. Love our audience. Thank you.